There are moments when someone close to you seems to drain the life right out of you. Maybe it's a partner, a friend, or even a family member. You try to understand them, to fix things, to hold the relationship together, but somehow, no matter what you do, you end up feeling small, confused, and lost. It's as if your peace slowly disappears, replaced by chaos that never seems to end. Many have faced this same pain. Being tied to someone who twists reality, makes you doubt yourself, and leaves you feeling spiritually empty. This isn't just about toxic behavior or emotional manipulation. Some believe something far darker is at work. According to a faith-based perspective, narcissism may be more than a psychological problem. It could be the influence of unseen forces that aim to destroy your peace, your confidence, and even your connection with God. This video explores what those unseen forces are said to be, how they work through narcissistic behavior, and how you can protect your heart, your mind, and your soul. How darkness finds its way in evil doesn't always appear as something terrifying. Sometimes it shows up through charm, confidence, and the need for control. Narcissism, at its core, is a deep hunger for admiration, mixed with an overwhelming fear of being insignificant. But in spiritual terms, this personality pattern is seen as the perfect gateway for darker influences. When a person gives in to pride, envy, or manipulation, their heart becomes more vulnerable. Over time, that vulnerability opens a door for demonic spirits that thrive on destruction. These spirits don't only harm the narcissist, they reach everyone around them. They use the narcissist as a vessel, spreading confusion, fear, and pain into the lives they touch. The damage goes beyond arguments or heartbreak. It can make you lose trust in your intuition, question your faith, and feel disconnected from your purpose. The spirits that feed. Narcissism. Faith-based wisdom often teaches that behind destructive human behaviors, there are deeper spiritual influences at work. Narcissism, this powerful mix of pride, manipulation, and emotional blindness, doesn't appear overnight. It grows when certain negative forces are allowed to shape a person's thoughts and motives. Each spirit works differently, but all of them share one goal: to replace peace with chaos and love with self-centeredness. Let's look closer at these spiritual forces and understand how they affect both the narcissist and those around them. 1. The spirit of rebellion and manipulation. This spirit thrives on control and the hunger for dominance. It plants the belief that one's desires are more important than anyone else's needs or feelings. Under its influence, a person begins to think that they are always right, that others exist to serve their goals. It whispers, "If you don't take charge, you'll lose power." This mindset leads to manipulation, subtle games of guilt, twisting words, or emotional blackmail. Rebellion hides beneath it all: a deep refusal to submit to truth, humility, or love. Instead of seeking harmony, this spirit drives people to challenge anything that threatens their ego. Over time, it isolates the person, because genuine relationships cannot survive constant control or deceit. 2. The spirit of envy. Envy is a poison that feeds on comparison. It tells a person that what others have, attention, success, beauty, peace, should belong to them. It makes gratitude impossible because the focus always shifts to what's missing. When envy takes root, joy becomes fragile and relationships become competitions. This spirit turns admiration into jealousy and friendship into rivalry. It whispers that someone else's blessing is your loss, when in truth, Love and success are never limited. Living under envy means you can't celebrate others, and you can't rest in who you are. Eventually, this emptiness fuels bitterness, leading to more selfishness and resentment, the perfect ground for narcissism to grow. 3. The spirit of confusion. Confusion is one of the most exhausting weapons used by narcissistic energy. It attacks clarity and replaces it with doubt. When dealing with a narcissist, you might constantly question your memory, your emotions, even your sense of reality. One day you're appreciated, the next day you're ignored or criticized. This emotional roller coaster drains strength and steals peace. Spiritually, confusion separates people from truth. It keeps the mind spinning in circles so you can't focus on what truly matters. Your faith, your healing, your purpose. The more confused you become, the easier it is for manipulation to take control. That's why clarity, prayer, and self-awareness are powerful defenses against this spirit. 4. The spirit of condemnation. Condemnation speaks in the language of guilt and shame. It tells you that you're never enough, that every problem is your fault, and that redemption is out of reach. A narcissist often channels this same energy, using criticism to make others feel small and powerless. Over time, those living under this influence begin to see themselves through the narcissist's distorted mirror instead of through God's truth, that every person is valuable and worthy of love. Condemnation crushes hope. It keeps you trapped in cycles of self-blame instead of growth. Freedom begins when you reject the lie that your worth depends on someone else's approval. 5. The spirit of control. Control might appear powerful, but underneath it lies fear. Fear of being exposed, rejected, or abandoned. The desire to dominate conversations, decisions, or relationships doesn't come from strength. It comes from insecurity. This spirit convinces a person that safety only exists when they can dictate everyone's behavior. But this illusion of safety destroys real connection. Those around a controlling person often feel trapped, exhausted, and stripped of their individuality. True peace comes from trust, not control. When someone learns to surrender to faith rather than fear, they break the grip of this spirit and allow love to breathe again. 6. The spirit of deception. Deception thrives where truth is inconvenient. It teaches a person to bend reality, to exaggerate achievements, hide weaknesses, and use lies to gain admiration. Narcissists become experts at this. Selective storytelling, half-truths, and false promises. The damage of deception goes far beyond words. It breaks trust, both between people and within the self. When you're constantly lied to, you start doubting your own memory and judgment. You begin to second-guess your feelings and even your faith. In spiritual terms, deception cuts the connection between the heart and truth, keeping both parties trapped in confusion and mistrust. 7. The spirit of pride. Pride is the root of narcissism, the soil in which all other toxic spirits grow. It refuses humility, resists correction, and demands admiration. Pride blinds a person to their flaws and makes them allergic to accountability. It whispers, "You're better than everyone else. You don't need to change." But pride also creates deep loneliness. It walls off the heart from compassion and vulnerability, making genuine love impossible. Spiritually, pride separates people from God because it places the self above everything. True strength, however, comes from humility, the courage to admit weakness, and the willingness to grow. 8. The spirit of fear. At the center of narcissism, Beneath all the arrogance and control, there is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of being truly known. While narcissists often appear confident, their need to dominate is a fragile shield hiding deep insecurity. This spirit convinces them that vulnerability equals weakness. So instead of opening their heart, they manipulate others to hide their wounds. Fear feeds every other destructive spirit. It fuels control, pride, envy, and deception. Only through honesty and faith can fear be silenced. When a person learns to face fear rather than hide behind it, healing finally begins. The hidden goal: spiritual disconnection. When you step back and look at the pattern, you see the real goal of these dark influences: separation. The aim is to separate you from peace, from love, and most of all, from God. They distract your mind so you can't hear God's guidance clearly. They keep you in emotional chaos so you have no energy left for faith. They convince you that healing is impossible and that you're powerless to change. But that is a lie. You are not powerless. Recognizing the signs around you. The people who carry these traits are not always romantic partners. They can be in families, workplaces, or friendships. They may even wear a mask of kindness or spirituality. The danger lies in how easily they make others doubt their worth. If you find yourself constantly apologizing, feeling confused after every conversation, or walking on eggshells to keep the peace, take notice. If you feel drained, anxious, or isolated after being around someone, your spirit is signaling that something is wrong. Awareness is the first step toward protection. Once you see the pattern, you can start to distance yourself emotionally, spiritually, and sometimes physically. How to protect your spirit. 1. Set firm boundaries. Boundaries are not unkind. They are essential. Protecting your time, energy, and mental space is an act of self-respect. Say no without guilt. Step back when needed. Refuse to engage in endless arguments that only lead to pain. 2. Strengthen your faith. Prayer, scripture, and spiritual community help you stay grounded. When your connection with God grows stronger, manipulation loses its grip. You begin to see through lies and emotional games because your heart is anchored in truth. 3. Seek healing. If you've been deeply affected by a narcissist, healing takes time. Counseling, support groups, and spiritual guidance can help you rebuild confidence and trust. Don't carry the burden alone. There are people who understand and can walk with you through recovery. 4. Let go of the need to fix them. It's natural to want to help someone change, especially when you care. But narcissism, especially when fueled by dark spiritual influences, cannot be healed through human effort alone. Only divine intervention can reach that deep. Your role is to protect your peace and trust that God will handle what you cannot. The light always wins. Though these spiritual battles are real, darkness never has the final word. Every act of awareness, every moment you choose truth over confusion, and every time you walk away from manipulation, you weaken that darkness. You are not what someone's cruelty tried to make you believe. You are strong, valuable, and loved by God. The pain you've endured can become wisdom. The confusion can turn into clarity. The fear can be replaced with faith. When you protect your mind and heart, you make it harder for evil to gain ground. You reclaim your freedom, your peace, and your connection with something greater than any human power. If you have been affected by someone who embodies these traits, remember this: you are not alone, and your healing matters. You are not defined by their behavior, and you don't owe them your peace. Step forward in faith. protect your spirit, and rebuild your life with love and clarity. Your story does not end in pain. It begins again in strength. And as always, because YouTube's algorithm tends to favor videos with strong engagement, if you feel this video has brought you value, a simple like and a quick subscribe would mean so much. It not only helps this message reach more people who need it, but also ensures you will never miss the next video that could make a difference in your journey. Thanks all.